It is 10:06, 10:05. Go around and do introductions, and we'll let Joe introduce Diane.
So we have a new team member in finance. We actually have 3 new team members in finance, but this is Diane Mandrafina. She's our new director of fiscal services. Diane came to us from Bergen Community College in New Jersey, so we dragged her across country. And she is our new, for relationship-wise, she's our new Marie Discalzo. Okay, Marie is happily retired.
And Diane, could you repeat the last name again?
Mandrafina.
Mandrafina, okay.
Okay.
Rod Foster, I teach in the arts department, whatever we are now, and teach film history, and I'm also on the union board.
Hi, Julie Kiotis, I teach psychology, and I'm also on the union board.
Danny Hammond, I teach history and political science.
I'm Dan Haley, I'm one of the librarians at the library.
Hi, I'm Chana, Senior Risk Management for Business Services.
Gary Potts, ITS, and I represent the union.
Denise Albright, Vice President of the Classified Senate and also Secretary of the OPNS, or Administrative Assistant, whatever you want to call it.
And I'm John Wood, I'm the Director of the Learning Assistance Center representing the Management Association.
Cindy Shanisi, Assistant Engineer Board. Okay.
And Bob Miller, you know more than there is to know. So, in addition to Diane, Joe, you want to mention the 2 other key hires that we just made? Just like close enough.
Sure. So we also hired LaCanya Fennessy, who's busy right now putting the final touches on the tentative budget, but she's our budget supervisor. And we also joined in fiscal with Hedva Weingart, who is our controller. So all of the accounting functions report to Hedva, all of the budgeting functions report to LaCanya. Those 2 functions report to Diane, in addition to the student bank and payroll.
You're going to give that to us in writing in a picture, right?
Well, we sent out a memo about 3 weeks ago prior to them starting where they are, what their position is, and what they oversee.
I'll look it up.
And there's an org chart too. Okay, so
Because that was just way too fast.
You have to memorize. Yeah.
Joe, are you also over purchasing now? They have a new director there, George, right?
So George Shidiak is our new Director of Purchasing and Contracts Administration. So he replaced Edgar Nagashiri.
Yeah.
Close enough.
And we consolidated contract administration into that function too. Didn't make sense to have
That's
2.
great. And we would love to know who to go to for which kind of purchases. If
George. So your
I mean buyers, yeah.
Your buyer has not changed? Okay.
We've had a little trouble with that recently where they said it's kind of a random assign for each.
well, George is going to work on that.
Okay.
But if you want, at some point, maybe not in this form, but we can give you the org charts for the 2 areas and
That'd be
an
great.
overview of what the areas do.
That would be
Thank you.
perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And Diane, welcome. She hit the ground running and still trying to keep up with it all, I think. Okay, we have the minutes of the May 29th meeting. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And any abstentions? Jerry, abstaining? Excellent. Okay, public comment. I think, Dan, you're the only member of the public here.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Okay, so we're just going to dispose of something quickly in that we've got attached the 14-15 meeting schedule. And
It's on the last
the
page.
dates are these Thursdays?
There are Thursdays, majority of them are the last Thursday of the month, aside for when we run into Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Okay. So this will be the schedule if that works for folks. It's attached to your packet. Oh, you can get a packet too?
Here we go.
Sean, can you?
Yes, sure.
One of them?
Thank you.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll assume this is the schedule for now, and then if anything changes, we'll let you know. But otherwise, we're going to publish this as the 14-15 schedule.
Yeah, it'll be posted to the web and all invitations will be sent out to current committee members.
Isn't August 28th the first week of class?
Yeah.
It's first day, yeah, it's first week. Sorry,
It is the first week, so we can adjust that. to
Maybe
another
we can
week.
move it back a week?
We can move-
Because the only issue we run into is the third
Forward.
Thursday is the
Forward.
benefits committee, and we don't want to conflict with.
Yeah,
Well,
we'll,
forward's the
we're
2
trying
weeks we
to
have off.
stagger with the benefits committee, but we'll work that out. Anyway, August, and we'll take a look at any dates that are either at the front or or on the exam week, for example. If we have any issues like that, we'll just double check and come back with some suggestions.
And we'd like to not move it forward into the only 2 weeks of the summer that are off. Let me just,
Our
let
long
me just put that
vacation.
right out there, please.
So not move forward into the one little gap there.
Yes.
Gap between summer
You guys
and
are so
fall.
funny.
We'll talk about that. Okay, thank you. All right, so, BRAC new appointed members. I don't think we have any of the students with us here, but at the moment, we know that Emily Samvalian will be replacing Austin, who has moved on to either USC or UCI, I think. Any other new appointments that we're aware of yet? Yes, Rob?
I haven't been voted on by the Senate, which will happen Monday, but I'm replacing A.C. Pennell.
Okay, so we'll make a note of that. Okay. All righty. Okay, so at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Joe, who will take us through where we are with our budget situation at the moment.
Okay, so you have 2 documents. You have the memo that you've seen in the previous 2 meetings and will continue to be updated. And then you have the second document, which is a document that you've been seeing for about 4 or 5 months, which is the preliminary and potential additional funding impact. So I want to start with the memo that you've seen in the past, the proposed fiscal year 14-15 preparation of tentative budget Fund 1. So I'm going to walk you through.
And of course, this has been updated at the point as new information comes away.
And it will change probably another 2 or 3 times. But, so this is, the first matrix is the estimated Fund 1 revenues. So again, we have information as of now telling us that the cost of living allowance, or the COLA, is 0.85%, and that reflects $899,000 to the district. We are budgeting for restoration and growth. We have the potential to hit a 2.75% increase. We are budgeting to be safe 2%, which will generate revenue at $1.9 million, additional revenue to the district. If we're able to hit the full 2.75%, the difference of 0.75% will give additional revenue to the district of $727,000. Yes?
And we have to hit that number second summer session.
Okay, no. Let me back up and state that 13-14 is now in the books, and we achieved our base, and it looks like we're going to hit growth of about somewhere between 200 and 400 FTS over, which is very, very good news. The budget that we will be, that these numbers are predicated on are based upon 13-14 endings. What happens is that you are sort of paid in arrears, okay? So the basis of next year is always based upon what you did the prior year, kind of a trailing kind of a situation. So because we did well in 13-14, we are going to capture all of the 20,500 something FTES, plus we are going to capture the majority of the growth that we were able to capture, and perhaps even a little bit more because of all the other districts that did not capture. So we're going into 14-15 economically, from a revenue point of view, in pretty good shape. We don't know exactly how good yet because the infamous P2 has yet to be posted. Normally it's posted about the 1st of May. So here we are coming into the end of June, and they still haven't got it yet. So we are estimating, but we're feeling comfortable about what we are estimating. We might get additional revenue. We won't know yet for another basically 6 weeks. And we really don't know for certain until they do something called the recalculation, which occurs usually next March or April. But this is just the way that the process works. So, to answer your question, this estimate is based upon what we would do next year in 14-15. It starts with the second summer session. Actually, it starts with the whole summer session. But as I think everybody's aware, when you complete a year, if you didn't make your base, you can borrow from the upcoming. If you did make your base and whatever your growth targets were, then you just start your year that much better. In the past couple of years, we actually had to, last year in particular, we had to borrow much more than we wanted to. The fact that we are not in that borrowing position again this year is a testament to all of us, primarily the faculty and the deans and what have you, for being able to make it up, so to speak. So again, to try to get to the answer to your question, the second summer session cleanly starts 14-15, because the first summer session we had the option of crediting it to 13-14 based upon the fact that the census date hit prior to June 30. Okay? If the census hits after June 30, it has to be in 14-15. So we actually captured all of the first summer session, put it in 13-14 to make our growth, because you know, I won't go through the long story, you've heard me say it 16 times, about the fact that if we didn't capture some of that 11-12 growth this year, it was going to go away forever. So we had to capture that. But 14-15 clock will start with the classes that start June 29th.
Mm.
Okay? That's the second summer session as well.
So we're actually starting with money in the bank then?
We are starting with, yes, we're starting with money in the bank. Joe didn't bring we've got a, if you will, a operating statement effective June 5th. And the long and the short of that is that we're ending about where we hope to end, and with a beginning balance next year of roughly 18 million and so on and so forth. So that looks like, you know, that worked, and that's good. So we're starting in a good place for 14-15, and then he'll continue with this. That's a very long answer to a short question, but I apologize.
Nice and thorough.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bob, there's a rumor going around that the manager's being told that the school's in financial problems because we're not meeting our enrollment targets. Is that not the case?
Well, Joe's going to tell you about, the answer is the enrollment targets is absolutely not the truth. I don't know if that room, but Joe is going to tell you that we have to shift some money around, and he's going to explain the reason why as we go through this memo. Okay.
Okay. So, 899,000 being received for COLA. We have the potential for 2.75% growth. We're budgeting at 2%. We are hopeful that the 2.75 will be received. If the full 2.75 is received, it will be $2.6 million. We're anticipating a $1 million rollover into next fiscal year for our starting balance. So without the restoration or the growth, we are increasing our revenue by 3.8 million. If we hit the full 2.75 million, we will increase our revenue by $4.5 million.
So according to this, it looks like growth is paid similarly to COLA on the entire budget. Is that true?
Okay, well, COLA.
So the 8.5% is what is set by the state when the budget is
I'm
signed.
talking about how it's paid to us.
We get approximately 1.9% of whatever the system gets as a whole. So what the system, so that 899,000 is approximately 1.9% of the whole dollar amount. That is COLA.
And then growth?
And growth is the same thing. 1.9%. So the state or the system is getting an increase of 2.75%. We, out of that 2.75%, would get 1.9. That bucket of money, we would get 1.9%, which equals the $2.7 million.
So theoretically, 90% of the school's budget goes to salaries. Shouldn't 90% of growth also go to salaries?
That's a discussion at the negotiating table.
No, because if you want 50% of COLA, then we should have 90% of growth.
Well, I don't know about that, but let me just sort of restate what Joe said.
I understood clearly what you said.
There's a pot of money,
I got it. And we get
0.85%.
1.9% of it.
and we get 1.9% of that pot of money. And the question then becomes, what do we do with that money?
Uh-huh.
So this what we're gonna show you here is where the money has to go, or what we think the money has to go.
Okay, I just want us all to be on the same page.
But
So the difference is though, is that we now are figuring on getting the $1.796 million. We're fairly certain we're gonna get that?
yeah, the revenue that we have here going into next year is what we believe we're going to be getting in terms of increases. And the tentative budget will show the actual dollar amounts, if you will. So, I understood what Julie said, but there's a whole lot of other factors that have to be discussed. And then we figure out where all the money goes. But I understand your statement, but there's a lot more to it. So let's go through it.
Okay, so we are budgeting $3.8 million for increased revenue. We have a estimated 01 fund reductions. So we have committed 50% of the salary increases in Sunshine offers to go towards salary increases for cost of living, and that will be approximately $450,000. The district is budgeting a 1% deficit factor. Now, even though we may hit all of our targets, have that revenue coming in, the state, for whatever reason, may not be able to pay us the full amount. So you want to budget some flexibility. We're feeling pretty good about it, so we're only budgeting a 1% deficit. Some other areas are budgeting 3%, 2%. We feel pretty certain that 1% is good. So we are putting aside or reducing our potential income by $816,000 for the deficit. So that gives us a negative of $1.3 million. So underneath this column, you'll see in the next matrix says a running subtotal. So from above, we're anticipating 3.8 million. We're anticipating reductions of 1.3 million. That leaves us a balance in the positive of 2.5 million.
What happened to that 0.75 not budgeted, that's $750,000? Why can't we put that as our 1% deficit factor?
Because we are budgeting conservatively, and we want to make sure that we are budgeting on what we believe and what we know.
And the question is, what if we didn't make the growth? What
So
if we?
now we have a 1.5? I thought this was restoration in arrears, no?
No, well, the interesting, it's a terminology thing. Some people call it growth, but in reality, a lot of other folks just say we're just restoring the system to what it was going back to 2.87. So some people call it restoration, some people call it growth. I just want to make sure everybody understands it's the same term. It's growth, but you're really restoring back to where you were back to 2008, 9, or 2007, 8, whichever one it was.
So you're saying this 0.75 may not happen?
What we're saying is that, and again, it's just conservative budgeting in the sense that we had to pull out every stop imaginable to grow to get back to where we got to today. The state is saying we're going to give you the system another 2.75. There is a huge discussion at the CEO level, at the legislative level, at the governor's office saying 2.75 is way too much. We really think you can only grow 2%. We only really want to give you 2%. The large districts, the LAs, the San Diegos, the Pasadenas, the Anzas, all those guys, they put a lot of political pressure on the elected officials and others to say, no, we can grow 2.75. We don't want to have our hands tied economically. The smaller districts and the mid-sized districts said, well, we know we can't, so we need that money for facilities, we need that money for technology, we need that money for the things, don't tie it up in growth. The big districts won the battle, so it's 2.75. We're saying that we don't want to budget 2.75 because what if we can't make it? What if we don't make it? So we're conservatively just say we're going to put 0.75 in the bank. If we make it, great. Then we can have another budget assumption for next year. If we don't, we haven't spent money we don't have. Dan's got a question.
Well, no, I think, so it's not automatic money, is what he's saying.
Right.
You have to meet the FTES to get that money, and that's why they're doing that.
Thank you, Dan.
Well,
Jump in for simple answers
No.
anytime you want. The other thing is, the only thing that's guaranteed, right, is the COLA. That's the only guarantee. And the COLA is just a total sum of money on the system, and in this case, it's a very low COLA of only 0.85%. But that's guaranteed. You don't have to earn that, they just give you that.
Well, they don't give it to us. Not around here, anyway.
Give it to the district.
Any idea how much our cost increased to reach the growth objectives?
With our new budgeting and fiscal analyst, Makanya, we're going to begin to back into some of those numbers. I will tell you this. In order to reach those numbers, our academic salaries line went up about 1.2 million. Okay, all the added sections. Now, the revenue derived from that was obviously higher, but it cost us 1.2 unbudgeted money, so to speak, in order to hire all the adjuncts and do the overloads to be able to offer those additional sections. But it was money well worth it because it got us back up to our base. Our new base is this. Once you get to a base, short of another financial meltdown, they can't take that away from you again. You're there. And if you don't get to that base, then you know. So, as you've heard others say, it's about growing. You've got to be able to grow in order to sustain the funding you need for everything around here. And that's why we're putting some more attention into the non-credit area, by the way, because there's going to be some huge opportunities to grow in non-credit in the next few years. They're going to take the non-credit FTS in 15-16 up to and pay at the same rate as the credit FTS.
They've done that in the past a few times, haven't they?
Yeah. And so right now, it's about 2,800 or 3,200 per FTS, depending on what type of non-credit. Now they are talking about taking the majority up to the 4,600, which is a huge opportunity for us and others. And then you've got the whole AB 86 thing coming down the pike. So that's a growth area that we've been.
And where are we looking to grow non-credit? ESL, high school?
ESL, high school, but also a lot of career, workforce prep stuff. That's where a big push will be. Of course, ESL in high school is all part and parcel of that. Not necessarily, it's not us. The state's not necessarily interested in parent ed or senior citizens. They're interested in jobs,
Right.
and preparing the workforce for jobs. Okay.
Okay, so the one thing I want to point out that was in the last version of this memo that you got, we did get clarification about supporting San Francisco, this State College of San Francisco,
Yeah.
whatever the name is. City College of San Francisco. That, we did get clarification, that money is already in the system, there is an additional cost to the districts, so that line item was removed,
And we thought in the neighborhood of 2 million, as I recall.
approximately, yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, every district's paying for it.
Yeah.
Through some other machination, it's just not going to be
It's not going
obvious.
to be that line, a nagging line item in
It's
our
not an
budget, yeah.
additional amount, yeah.
That's right.
All right, so we have the running subtotal, 3.8 million revenue coming in, 1.3 going out. Then we have the next matrix, the third one down, where we had unanticipated significant cost increases. And this is where the primarily the conversation last month took place. Our benefits increased $2.4 million, which was not anything any of us saw coming. The CalSTRS rate did increase, but it was actually decreased from what was proposed. So it was proposed that it would go from 8.25 to 9.5%. It actually, at this point in time, is at it went from 8.25 to 8.88%, which actually halved what we had on this line last month. So it's down to 392,000 of additional employer contributions. It was at 750 or something last time. CalPERS remained the same, so it's an additional cost for employer contributions of about $76,000. So we have another reduction of 2.8 million. So 3.8 coming in, 1.2 going out for fund reductions, and another 2.8 going out for significant cost increases, which leaves us now in the negative by $306,000. On the next page, this is also what we talked about at the last meeting. We determined that there was the potential or the need to actually shift funding within operating ongoing dollars that we needed to have a discussion about to make sure that we were able to meet those cost increases. So we were able to recommend percentages based on line items within the budget of where dollars could be moved. And we presented those percentages to the various managers, and managers worked within the budgets that were given to them to reallocate dollars to meet their needs. And so this $5 million at the bottom line was actually new money that could be used to meet the needs of the district. So that $306,000 that was in the negative has now been made whole. And we now have at the bottom of this running subtotal $4.7 million to use for other ongoing needs.
Now, Joe used the term new money, but you didn't really mean new money.
Not new money.
Reallocated.
Existing.
Existing funds that were reallocated to help with this situation.
Yeah. So the next matrix, estimated funds for reallocation, this has not changed from the last time you saw it, except for on 2 line items, and the descriptions changed. So in 1 line item, we went from $250,000 for district-wide professional development down to $150,000. And then on the next page, we went from equipment leases from $175,000 down to $125,000. So as we go through and we refine what's going on with the budget and the budget requests, we're making those changes. And I think those were the only 2 changes we made. So again, the running subtotal, 3.8 coming in, 1.2 going out for estimated fund reductions, another 2.8 going out for significant cost increases, left us in the negative by 300,000. Reshifted funds that are currently in the operating budget of 5 million, and we had 4.7 left over. With these ongoing costs, these new costs, we had a $5.4 million cost, which left us again in the negative of $637,000. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, but because we didn't go through it, and I'm not asking us to go through line by line, but these must fund ongoing expenses, were they like statutory things that changed, or what kinds of things? I mean, I haven't had a chance to really look at this, I apologize, but.
That's okay, but let me hit the larger dollar amounts.
Okay, just a couple of them.
So the first one actually is not the larger dollar amount, but this was part of the early retirement program, so we have to fund that at $264,000 a year.
And that's ongoing.
For a total of 5 years.
For 5 years,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now, we have to fund it. The new fiscal year 13-14 board approved faculty positions, those are the 10 positions that were approved with health and welfare benefits. We're anticipating that the total cost will be approximately $1 million.
And just to add this real quick, given the new increases in the health benefits, each employee, we're up to a little over 22,000 an employee for health and welfare now, on top of salaries, plus there's other things that we've been through in there, but just for the Anthem Blue Cross or the Kaiser and the dental and what have you, because it's 22,000 per employee.
Does that include CalSTRS, CalPERS?
No.
Dan?
Joe, I'm sorry, I've got to go back to the shifting of unrestricted funds.
Okay,
Uh,
can I hold you for 1 second,
okay.
so I can answer? Okay, so the $1 million for the 10 new faculty positions, $2 million for the salary increases, so fiscal year 14-15, 2% for salary increases, that was part of the sunshine offers. 1% basically equals about $960,000 across the board. So that $2 million would capture those increases. Another biggie on the next page was $850,000 for fiscal year 14-15 step and column increases.
And
that's
that's-
something that we do each
That's
year.
faculty, staff, and management.
Everything, yeah. So is that good? That one?
And that number, that 850, is that just what it's been pretty on average over the last 5 years or something? I mean, how'd you come up with that number?
It's very difficult to come up with it because not everybody gets it at the same
No,
time.
I realize that, but I mean, you must be able to look over the last 5 years and
What we can do
do
is look at,
something.
we can look at January 1 of 2 years ago and July 1 of 2 years ago and July 1 of last year to see what the difference was. And that's all we can do right now. Now that we have a budget unit, this is one of those areas that we're gonna start doing an analysis on to determine if we are underfunding it or if we're overfunding it or if we're on target. Okay, Dan?
Yeah, going back to the shifting, I see it's shifting, but when I hear you, I think what you're saying is these, the managers have reduced these expenses by these amounts, is that correct?
What we did was propose
Okay.
these amounts. What we gave the cost center managers was their breakdown of their cost center.
Okay.
And they looked at the dollar amounts that we were recommending and they said, you know what, I need more than $50 in postage. So I'm gonna reduce my advertising line if they had it by $50 and put the $50 in postage. So they worked within the dollars that we asked them to work within.
Okay, so this is a reduction in expenses.
It's not a reduction in expenses, it's a shifting of those dollars to where they're actually needed. So we still have the same level of expenses, but the dollars are going where they need to go, and we're able to take this $5 million to place against the $2.5 million increase for benefits, the $400,000 increase for CalSTRS, so on and so forth.
Okay, so we're spending less on these expenses so we can spend it elsewhere.
Right.
Okay.
And-
Budgeting less.
And I will tell you this, Joe has spent many an hour with individual cost center managers working our way through this. In some cases, exactly what we asked for, we got. In some cases, exactly what we asked for, we didn't get. Mostly it was a negotiation and find places in the middle in terms of what we needed to do.
Just curiosity, so we're spending about $260,000 on advertising. What are we buying for that?
Well, good question. We're buying billboards, you may have noticed. We're buying bus, bus racks or bus, whatever you call them. We're buying radio spots, which I don't think we're gonna be buying anymore. We have a much better handle now on how we are tracking expenses and, well, not tracking expenses, but tracking results from these things. And I think we're gonna find ourselves heading more and more into the social media world, less expensive than that. So we're looking at that carefully.
Do we have an ad consultant?
We, the answer is no, we don't. But we do have other types of consultants who are helping with.
And are we buying media outside of the district?
The only media that we're buying outside, the most effective in my opinion is the bus stuff because it drives everywhere.
Mhm.
You see that? Radio stations. That's outside of the district. But beyond that, most of it is inside. I think the billboard thing, I want to say 4 or 5 billboards. And way out in the Temple City area was further southeast kind of a billboard. And then many of them were just in this area actually. I mean,
Was Radio LA Metropolitan? I think so.
yeah, radio was LA Metropolitan. It was Clear Channel was a big one, for example. And I mean, it's pricey. It's pricey. But what I keep arguing for, and I'm finally beginning to get some people responding to it, is I need to know from a metrics point of view what's the effect of these things. Are we capturing or not? And so now, if you go online and you see some of our online ads that we're paying for, the links have got identifiers at the end of them, so we can actually count, if you will, with the effectiveness of it. So the answer is, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think we've got about a 4 handle on this. Okay, we have to do better, and we will. But at this point, we were throwing a lot of stuff at the problem, and maybe not as judiciously as we should have, if that's the truth of it.
Okay.
But I think it did have a positive impact. Exactly what it was, it's hard to.
Where's the expense for the approximately 30 or 40 recent management and administrative firms?
That's built into what is currently salary and health and welfare benefits. So if we're talking about, let's talk about George.
So for example, the new faculty are here though, but the new administrators aren't.
Because those administrators were already part of the budget. So, as an example, Diane replaced Marie Descalzo, the salary was interchangeable. The new 10 faculty positions were not budgeted, they were approved new positions, so we have to budget for them for 14.
So Julie, to also add to that, there were 9 new management positions that were approved by the board last January, and the positions were actually budgeted in the 13-14 budget. So mid-year.
So it's already part of the.
It was already part of it.
The 10 new faculty positions, though, does that, they're really replacements for CERT retirements, right?
No, they're actually not.
They're new.
The 10 new ones were, you guys probably remember when we went through all this, it was last October, November is when we finally finalized that we were going to have the 10 new. There's issues with the academic senate administration on exactly how those 10 were determined.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, the determination was made by the board and Dr. Rocha that we were going to add 10 on top of our faculty, our FFON, our faculty, full-time faculty obligation number, which at that time was depending how you read it, 28 to 32 positions over our fund. But even so, the decision was to go forward with those 10 new positions. So we had to budget the 10 new positions. We have not that many retirements this year that I'm aware of, but the decision will be made to backfill those.
I'll give you a list of people who are waiting.
Yeah.
Well, but there's also,
I know.
though, the whole exchange idea, though. These 10 people are going to replace 20 to 30 adjuncts. So to say that they're gonna cost you $100,000, you're already paying adjuncts to teach those classes.
So that's
So-
information I need to know, because, yeah, I wasn't aware of
Yeah,
that.
so what we need, well, yes, you're absolutely right, Ann. And so that will theoretically reduce our adjunct line item. The numbers don't yet reflect that reduction because we keep going higher because we've been adding all these additional sections.
Right, but you're getting more revenues for all those new
But
sections.
again, we're paid in arrears, so we get more money next year.
And
But you're right, eventually it's gonna balance, you're right. We should be able to reduce the adjunct as the full-time go up.
Yeah, well, I guess I guess it's part of my thinking is being consistent. If you're gonna say, well, we're replacing this person with this person and we're already paying this person, so we're not gonna put it on the budget as an extra cost, then if you're gonna replace 20 or 30 adjuncts with 10 full-timers, then I think you should take the cost of that and reduce the additional cost.
And again, with
That's
our
all.
new fiscal and budget analyst position and unit, we'll be able to actually start looking at those numbers. And one of the things that we'll do at the next BRAC meeting is we'll bring in the tentative budget, we'll bring in the closing operating statement, and we'll start looking at those numbers. And we can begin to, to disaggregate them and begin to analyze them as a team.
We use this number of $5,500 a section, which is debatable, obviously, but, so very easily you could say that we're replacing 10 adjunct sections with each new hire. That'd be one real easy way to get to the number.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true, yeah. And then and Joe, by the way, he's pretty good at this. We just need the budget discipline to make certain that adjunct line actually does go down and stays down. And if it has to go up again, it just means that we're in a giant growth mode again, and we just need the extra faculty. So.
Okay. So that takes us into, that leaves us with a negative amount of 637,000. The next matrix has not changed from the last time, so if there are additional unrestricted funds become available for final state adopted budget and urgent district needs come up, we may revisit the $600,000 in 6 positions. So that's not a part of the budget, but we just wanted to make sure that was there. So now we go to the next matrix, and we were last month talking about an $11.9 million payment of one-time deferred dollars built up over the last few years as the economy went south. We were told that we were going to get the money the first 2 weeks of July. We are now being told you're not going to get the $11.9 million, and as a matter of fact, it's $11.2 million, and you're not going to get that either. What you're going to get is approximately $9.4 million, and the balance of $1.8 million in fiscal year 15-16. So we had to make some adjustments here. So these are the recommendations of the one-time funds. We're looking at one-time dollars, we're looking at one-time expenses. So other post-employment benefits for GASB 4345, this is an obligation that the district has to fully fund the post-employment benefits, or OPEB. So to catch up to where we need to be, we're looking at putting in $750,000 into that account. The workers' compensation fund, we did not fund that.
Excuse me, Joe, for the GASB, but we have an ongoing contribution to that fund too, right?
Yes.
And what's that? That number?
A little over, is it like one million?
1,050,000 or something.
Yeah, 1,000,001, 1,002
Okay.
a year, something like that.
Yeah. So we were not funding it the way we should have, so what we're trying to do is catch up, and that's what that 750 is for. Workers' compensation fund, again, we have not funded it the way it should have been funded, so we're trying to catch up. We're using one-time dollars for that.
And both of those are audit requirements, and I mean, it's not, both of those, it's not because we necessarily want to, it's because there's an obligation to do so. And if we don't maintain some level of balance, if you will. We get dinged from the auditors.
Was there an audit finding regarding those two?
Workers' comp, there is.
Okay.
And
But
the
not
other one, we just don't
the
want to
Gatsby.
get the Gatsby yet.
Yeah, and we had, our actuarials that were just done actually show that we should be doing this.
Okay.
So the next line item is for instructional equipment, all categories. So last month, this showed at $1 million. So with the reduction, we had to kind of use this line. The good news is, in the next document that we'll get to, we will talk about funding that balance of $500,000. Dan?
Yeah, okay. Back when we were shifting funds, I see that new equipment went down about almost $700,000, and now we're allocating $500,000. So aren't we just kind of taking out of one pot and putting it right back into the other?
Tell me again, for which
Okay.
line?
On the page 2,
For shifting, yeah?
yeah, when we're shifting,
Yeah.
it says new equipment, 5,000 or greater. That looks like 700, almost 698,000.
Yeah. So
And
there,
okay,
there are 3 line items in this part of the shifting and the reallocating of funds related to equipment.
okay,
Equipment, from what I understand, historically at the district has never been budgeted. What happens is the areas will make the request, they'll move money within their cost center to pay for it.
all right.
If the equipment is not received by June 30th, they do what's called a carry forward. And so these dollar amounts were carried forward from 12-13 into 13-14, so they no longer are needed. So that money was swept back into the bottom line so it could be reallocated to fund the deficits.
Okay, all right.
And then going back to where you identified equipment, you mean in the $9.4 million?
No, on page 3, you says instructional equipment, all categories, $500,000.
Yes, so the difference is instructional versus equipment for the office services photocopy machine downstairs. It's probably not a good example, but it's instructional classroom versus
The printer or scanner.
printer or scanner. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. So, instructional equipment, we reduced it from $1 million to $500,000, but when we get to the next document, you'll see where we're gonna make up that difference and a little more. Reserves for contingencies. This is an amount that is in the budget that is separate from the lockbox. This is the operating reserves for contingencies that we can tap into if something comes up that was severe and unexpected. Plumbing bursts, a building, God forbid, collapses. That's the money that we can tap into right away.
So what is the 18 million in reserve for?
The 18 million is this money, the reserves for contingencies, and then the lockbox reserves of $12 million.
So if we have 12 million in a quote-unquote lockbox, that's part of the 18 million.
Correct.
So where's the other 6 million? You're saying this is 2 of that 6 million?
We're adding on 2 million on top of that 6 million.
I'm pretty sure I heard there was 18 million and a separate 12
Yeah,
million.
okay. So,
No.
no.
There's 12 million for reserves, which is what I call a lockbox. It's not easily accessible. We have operating or reserves for contingencies, which is operating. If we need to right away, we can get into it. That's currently in the 13-14 budget, approximately $6 million. This, we're recommending that these are one-time dollars that we would put into these reserves for contingencies to bring it up for 13-14.
So beyond the 6 million, you want to add 2 more million into that.
That's the recommendation, yes.
And again, it goes into a pot of money that is unallocated. It's just sitting there.
Well, no, it is allocated. That's the problem.
But it's
Because then-
allocated as a contingency.
But when we get into negotiating, the money's never there because it's always allocated. I mean, I don't know if that's the right term. I'm not trying to be argumentative,
No, I say that.
but that's my problem with
I
all
get it.
these categories. When we get down to, and I know this isn't a negotiation, but my problem is, no matter how much money we get, when it's good, it's all allocated. There's all places it's gonna be spent.
Right.
And when it's bad, there ain't any money and everybody knows it.
So here's the way I think this is gonna come out on a balance sheet. Whereas, we're still working on this, but whereas last year we had 18 million, this year we could have 21 million because of this, okay? So obviously that means that there's $3 million more that at other places and other discussions that can be discussed. At least that $3 million isn't labeled to go pay a heating bill, a faculty salary, whatever. It's there. The other thing just to bear in mind, I'm just going to say it, just so you know, It's one-time money though, it's not gonna continue. So if we
Right.
threw it to salaries, you know, my salary, you wanna give me 2 million, thank you very much. You know, threw it to salaries, it's good for 1 year, and then after that, we're gonna have to fund it, that's all.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But you know,
Yeah.
arguendo. There's also a bonus. I mean, there are different ways of compensating people.
That's right.
And you don't want, you know, salaries aren't foreclosed
You
upon
can-
for
you can
lack
do
of
that.
having future funding.
You can do an off schedule,
Yeah.
you can do other things, you're absolutely right.
Yes, time.
There's just money there. That's all.
A quick question. So the 18 million represents about, what, 14% of our
Good
01?
question. What's our O1 gonna come in at? Just about 120,
Without the one-time dollars, it's gonna be about 135, 140, I think.
okay, so let's say 135, so 12 of 135, so it's like 13, 14%.
Okay.
The state requires
Three.
5.
I thought the requirement was 3.
No, the state requires 5.
Okay, that's gone up.
But,
No,
the
it's 3
interesting
to
thing, I don't know if
5.
anybody's been
I don't
paying
think it's
close
5.
attention,
It's 3 to 5.
the governor,
Sure.
well, the legislator put through, it looks like the governor is gonna sign, legislation that limits the amount of reserves that K-12 districts can set aside.
That's what I just read.
Limits the amount.
Well, now there's an idea.
And they have done so on the basis of the fact that, that they don't want the locals hoarding money, quote unquote. And they're also making the point, and of course, all of the local boards and a lot of the CBOs and the superintendents are saying, but if it wasn't for us having that money, this crisis you've just been through, we all would have been, there would have been a lot more of us in trouble. But the bottom line is, it looks like they're going to lower that ability to whatever it is, but it does not apply to community college districts.
Yet.
Yeah. Now, I was at North Orange, by the way, when, I can't remember who was governor then, probably Reagan, and when they came in and took $9 million out of our reserves because we were oversaving.
Yeah, I remember that, that's right. But I think Julie's got a point, yeah. I mean, there were very strong voices that got the legislature and the governor to support this, so. Anyway, so that's where we are. So right now, we're at 14%, but by law, we only need 5%. But this board has never really been locked to a percentage as much as they've been locked to a number, $12,050,000. I have no idea where that number came from, but it's been that way for a long time. And then on top of that, we have this operating contingency, just in case, God forbid, anything should happen. And every year something does. Ask Dan about the library.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had major problems in the library this year in terms of the massive, pipes and all kinds of stuff. But anyway,
The 2 point whatever is going to go into 01?
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so Fund 41, that's the fund that we do capital outlay and information technology capital projects out of. So that fund balance in Fund 41 is being reduced due to the projects that have been taking place over the last few years. So what we're saying is we would like to put approximately $2 million aside to refund Fund 41 for facilities projects related to these school visioning sessions, and approximately $1 million related to the district-wide technology upgrade. Okay?
So, and how much is already in that fund?
Fund 41, about 5 million, give or take. It's down, at one point it was, as you well know, it was way up there, but it's down to about 5.
Did we get rid of the elevator fund?
Measure P, that's, the elevator's being paid for out of Measure P.
Okay.
And those projects continue.
Do we have another major IT
Uh,
plan in the works?
To fund?
Yeah, something
We
in
have,
some major project again?
yes, we have ongoing stuff.
Oh,
I have a, well, they're actually asking for $2 million for fiscal year 14-15, and I said, no.
Again, and it's everything
Yes.
from wireless upgrades to server upgrades to,
We need that.
yeah, we
we need
need
that.
all that stuff, right?
Oh, so you want me to give them the $2 million?
Well, we need that. The classroom needs that. You
So
can't be in your
what-
class.
We're getting beamers.
So
We're gonna
the
get
money that
beamed
they're
to
getting-
different sites.
Yeah, so they're actually identifying the most important priorities, and those are the ones that would be funded.
And one of the most important priorities in my mind, and what we're talking about, is to provide faculty and instruction a dedicated wireless network. So when you guys walk into your classes, you can actually do what you need to do. Because, and we've talked about this, the proliferation of these things, the drawdown on the network is phenomenal every day. And then we're talking about going from a 1 gigabyte line to a 10 gigabyte line with the state in terms of just the size of the pipe. And all that stuff is what we are investing in and upgrading in. And,
They actually work on these now,
yeah,
because they can see.
yeah.
So they'll take notes on them, they do everything on there, they access Canvas,
I
they
can't see
do,
it.
of course not, but they do everything on it.
The next
that's
version
why-
of the
that's
iPhone,
why
I
it's-
understand, is going to be a bigger screen, which is good. Anyway,
So that's,
yeah.
Just going back to that,
That's right, Gary's
because
here,
I'm
he knows
involved
this
with that. I was listening to the radio yesterday, and they were talking about World Cup soccer, and ESPN said, well, they have no way to rate their ratings. So what they did a survey, an online survey, and they found that the majority of the people that was watching the World Cup soccer
We're doing it on-
was watching it on their iPhone was number one, or their phone, a tablet was number two, and your TV at home and your bars and whatever was like below 10. And so going back to what Bob and Joe was saying,
to go back to the bar.
it's shifting. And they were saying the age group is between 15 and 30, and that 15 and 30 is using these two devices and not your TVs, your bars, and your other things that some people are used to
I
doing.
can
So
tell by
it's
the
necessary.
grammar that comes out where they wrote their paper.
Yes.
Exactly, right?
And I try to explain to them that if it's a real research paper, you have to sit at a real computer
Yes.
to do it, but they don't get it. But they
So
really, this is what they write on.
It's changing. Oh, it has changed. I'll say it that way.
And
That-
1/3 of
that's-
all
yeah.
internet traffic
Well, a lot
is
of this stuff on
Netflix.
Huffington
Yep.
Post, their articles, they submit through their iPhone, they just post directly to the website.
Yes.
okay, so I'm sorry, but I'm gonna try to pull
Yeah.
this along. So, we are recommending $2 million be diverted to refund Fund 41 for ongoing projects in future years. 850,000 to what is called the Budget Development Cost Center. So this is the cost center where in between tentative budget and adopted budget, we park things like the $2 million, 2% salary increases that were shined. So we have time to actually spread it across the cost centers. We are recommending 850,000 be put into that cost center because last year we had a rude awakening where we had 6-figure invoices come in that no one was aware of and after July 1st. So we weren't able to plan for it with these carry forwards. So this would become a bucket dollar amount that would take care of those types of invoices that we didn't see coming.
Two quick things. Number one, I thought you described some process where that wouldn't happen again. And secondly, and maybe I'm wrong, but I thought at one of the meetings you said, that happened, so now we set up this, I don't remember, you described something where it wouldn't happen again. So it shouldn't happen again, but I know it could.
But let me just respond to that. So we
Okay.
sent out a memo saying that calling a vendor saying, yes, we want it, and accepting it is not acceptable, and it could lead to other things, because that's what's driving that whole thing. We have no control over the individual calling the vendor saying, send it. Because what it doesn't do is, what they're supposed to do is go into Lancer Point and create the requisition so it encumbers the dollars. When you call a vendor directly, and it's not in the system, but we get a call 3, 4, 5 months later that we are late on a payment, that's what it's being tied back to. So we are trying to correct it, but it's never gonna be a fail-safe.
Well,
But the issue here though is, there's lots of issues. A, the system is
Yeah.
broken and we're now fixing it. But B, this is one-time money, so this is not something that we can afford to allow to happen year in and year out. This is just part of a cleaning up an issue, right?
I know.
Right.
Well-
It's a training thing.
My other just comment is, those are the types of things that I thought reserves are for. Now we have our locked box, then we have 6 million for budgeting things, which I would think this would fall under. That 6 million could cover something like this if it happened. And now we got another reserve contingency of $2.1 million to cover. So, and now we're creating this. So you got a lockbox, you got another 6 million, you got another 2.1 million, and now we got another 850 for contingencies. I don't really, but anyway,
I understand.
okay, so.
Yeah. It's
It's all,
a safety net.
Okay.
But they're good points, though, Dan. I do recognize that, and we will think a little bit more about it.
Okay. So then we talk about the Academic Senate. They are getting $400,000 of SASE funds.
You know, they had a big chunk last year, I don't think they spent.
No.
This is basically,
They ran out of money last year.
it was in the budget. It wasn't put into their cost center for whatever reason. They did not use it. So this is actually restoring what we promised them.
Right. So let me answer Julie's question. Who decides how the money's spent? Is that what your question was?
Yeah.
The Academic Senate has a faculty professional development committee, which is chaired
Who
by.
chooses that?
I beg your pardon?
Who chooses that?
The Academic Senate.
The chair
The
is
board,
Lynn
the
Wright.
president. And so Lynn Wright is the chair. The Academic Senate Executive Committee / their process is putting that committee together. They developed, if you will, parameters by which the monies will be allocated, the process, what have you. And they've actually, I think Eduardo actually already sent out a thing about it recently.
For
I think he-
conferences?
Yeah, for
For
conferences.
workshops,
This
for
is
conferences. This is new. This is
Yeah.
brand new.
Okay.
And it took a year to get it settled, more or less, and now we're funding it, and off we go. And the actual cost center manager for it will be BRAC out of the Teaching and Learning Center, but because money's gonna be managed by a manager, but BRAC's gonna have more or less a hands-off in terms of how it's allocated. However, there is assessment, there are, there's pieces to the puzzle that require people to assess the benefit of the investment.
And who supervises BRAC's supervision?
Dr. Bell.
He's not a cost center manager.
So the next thing is accreditation support. Yeah.
Where's the classified fitting in this budget?
So if you go back to the previous matrix, we're putting in $150,000 into district-wide professional development. So I think it was the third matrix now.
And you don't get any positions, didn't you see that? That was removed.
Second to the last
You're
one.
on
That's
hold.
not even funny.
I'm serious, you didn't see that part?
I must have bypassed that one totally.
So it's the second page at the bottom.
150, right above.
You don't get any
2 million.
new positions, but obviously we're replacing all this.
So the district-wide professional development money is going into HR, and then HR is gonna fund us?
Yeah,
There,
the
that's the way.
district-wide professional, that's.
But we've always been under Dr. Rocha's preview of budget, and you've always worked with us on the budget for the classified, for everything that we needed. It's never been
Well,
here
this is-
before.
Sorry.
This is in addition to. This is in addition to.
So are you saying you had money in your classified Senate cost center?
And she
Uh-huh.
did, and they
Yeah,
do.
and it's
It's
still the
still
same.
there. It's still there.
This is separate from.
It's additional.
So we could ask for more than next year?
This is if you want to take if you want to go to a conference and your manager approves it, it's the cost center manager for the review and checks and balances of the funds that are allocated would be through HR. So if you want to go to a conference, it's just coming out of that bucket that is managed by HR.
Is that staff diversity funds?
No, that's another pot of money that comes from the state.
That can be used for these things as well too.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Uh,
thank you.
We're good?
Yeah.
All right, so
No, it's
Business
not a joke.
Services Cost Center for fiscal year 13-14. Oh, I made a mistake here. This is where, I made a mistake. So the Budget Development Cost Center line that we talked about, the 850, that's for the outstanding invoices.
Right.
The 850 on this line is for, we talked about last time about the workers' compensation claims and how we're trying to close them out and do close and releases, so we don't have ongoing costs that may increase in future years. That's what this is about, and that's all related to risk management.
Sorry, can you say that
Yes,
again?
exactly. Go back and
I-
explain that again more clearly. Budget Development
So-
Cost Center for unanticipated cost is.
So the Budget Development Cost Center is for the unanticipated invoices for 13-14. What I wrote on the line below, Business Services Cost Center, is the outstanding invoices. That needs to be removed and moved up. What the 850 about for the Business Services Cost Center is related to the workers' comp claims that we're trying to close out sooner than later.
And do we fund legal settlements out of that cost center?
No.
So,
Well, I'm sorry. Chad, when we do the workers' comp settlement, that's paid for through Keenan through the property and liability policy that we have?
No, no workers' comp.
Oh, so,
For the
I'm sorry, the
settlements.
answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but there was also, the second one on this same list says workers' compensation fund of 600,000. So
This-
basically, we're putting 1.4 million into the same thing, it seems like, but maybe.
The
I'm-
workers' compensation fund is based on an actuarial. So based
Yeah.
on our staffing, based on the number of people who are out, we have to fund it at a certain level.
Okay.
This is for us to settle claims. If possible, we want to settle them and do what's called a close and release, so they can't come back to us and
Okay.
say, I got sicker and I'm now in the hospital for,
Yeah,
and
okay.
now you owe me $1 million.
Yeah.
What we need to remember is there's over 2,000 employees at this college in all categories, full-time faculty, full-time staff, hourly, part-time. And every one of them at any point in time could have a workers' comp need. I walk in every morning, usually around 7:15, and Shaw's often, every morning, talking with a person, right?
Right.
This morning again. So there's a great many claims that are out there, and what Joe's talking about, getting these releases, as we've talked about before, workers' comp claims can go on for a couple of decades. And the longer they go on, usually the more expensive they become. So if you can close out these things earlier in the process, often you're in better position.
So is it basically offering them some money to say, I'm not gonna
It
ask for
depends.
it? I don't understand how it works.
Absolutely,
so,
it depends, it depends on the situation and the claims, because there are other things that happen in people's lives that actually contribute to a medical condition that they have. And it's those things that often help drive up the cost factor. So the sooner you can settle on the actual, legitimate claim, the better off you are, as opposed to allowing time to go by and other things to manifest themselves.
So how do you make them end early? You get them, you say, look, we'll give you X amount of money and will you agree to?
It's not that direct, but it depends.
We don't generally make an offer.
Yeah.
They're usually coming to us saying we want,
Right.
and then our attorney and our third-party administrator come back to us and say, they want this, it's unreasonable. This is what, based on the risk factors and the information that's out there that we can compare it to, this is what's reasonable.
Okay.
And so then we internally negotiate, say, okay, we're willing to talk. We want the clause in there that this is a closing release.
Right, okay. Sorry, I just trying to understand.
I always
No,
think of
that's
that
fine.
phrase, catch and release, whenever I hear that.
But that's what that is for.
Okay.
And to be very honest with you, this is a number that I just picked out of the air because in the current year, it was substantially higher than that. We had, I think, 3 or 4 that we closed out that were huge. And beneficial to the district long-term. Really very, very beneficial to the district long-term. So it was a good thing for us. All right, so then the biggest thing here is the last line. So if you remember above, we had a negative, we were back in the negative by $637,000. So we're recommending as a one-time fix that we pull out of the one-time dollars $637,000 to balance the budget. Now, if we are able to hit the full 2.7% growth, that $637,000 would be refunded at the end of the year.
Well,
So we would still be, we would be positive in about
yeah,
$70,000.
maybe not. It depends on when the money comes to us. Because at the end of the day, we're paid in arrears. But what might bail us out is additional RDA money that might come in, additional monies that are due us. So we'll just sort of balance that out.
And I do want to just say, 20 minutes? So I do want to just say, this is still something that is a work in progress. Not until the budget is adopted will this be finalized. So what I'm hoping to do is just bring it in every time we meet to give you the most current information.
And with that said, let me just add this quickly, which is next Wednesday, the 25th, we take to the board a tentative 14-15 budget. And it's got all this kind of stuff built into it and so on and so forth, and it balances out, and that's a good thing. But then we basically have the next 6 weeks, to September 3rd, I believe the date is, to finalize the budget. Now, when I talk about finalizing the budget, I'm talking about getting the final numbers from the state that we can hang our hat on, that we feel very confident about. And we're probably 85% of the way there now. And I'm also talking about the shifting and the reallocation of some of these monies based upon conversations that we might have in here, based upon ongoing discussions that Joe is having with the cost center managers, things could shift and probably will shift to some degree. There may be, settlement on some of the labor agreements between now and then, for example, where we would allocate money to certain areas to deal with that. So there's time to continue to discuss and negotiate the actual budget points themselves. All the board does is approve a tentative budget, which allows us to open the doors July 1st and do business and pay our bills.
Okay. So the next document is a regurgitation of what we just went through for Fund 1, but it also includes the other funds, like Fund 3, Fund 41, Fund 22, Fund 21. So I'm just going to run through this relatively quickly. Now, what the tentative budget is built on is what we received in 13-14. This last column, where it says reflects incremental increase only, that has not been finalized until the governor signs the budget. So these dollar amounts are the difference between what we got last year and what we potentially could be getting for 14-15. So now that I'm reading through it, because again, I was trying to get this done for this meeting, I see that there are some things that I just need to clean up. But let's go through it. So we talked about the COLA. It went from originally in January of 2014 at 0.86%. We're now at June 14th, and it's gone down to 0.85%, but the 899 ties back to the memo we just went through. Okay. The enrollment growth, it was at 3%. It was negotiated down at the state level to 2.75%. The total amount that we can hit is $2.7 million, but we're budgeting conservatively at 2% and pushing to get that additional 0.75%. But that's the total bucket amount. The student success, or SSSP, which used to be called matriculation, we are now at the point in June of 2014 that we are 99% sure we will be able to get, or $100 million will be added to the state budget for the system, and our portion would be 1.9%, so we are looking at an increase of $1.9 million in Fund 3 funds. The student equity plans, it was reduced from $100 million to $70 million, and the 1.9% reflects approximately $1.3 million that we have the potential to get for Fund 3. DSP&S, originally they talked about a $50 million bucket of money. They've now increased that by $30 million. So the system, actually had $70 million last year that was budgeted for DSP&S. They have increased it by $30 million, giving the system a total of $114 million. The $570,000 is the 1.9% of the difference of what the system had last year to what the system has this year. Okay? So I'm going to clean that up because that's not as clear as it could be. Okay?
So the bottom line is that we're going to get $570,000 more
Than what we've got.
than what we've got in the past.
And is that true of everything in this column, or you just explained that and I misunderstood?
That is true of everything in
Yeah.
this column,
Yeah.
if we hit what we're supposed to hit. And we believe we will. Economic and workforce development, this is ongoing dollars where they increase EOP&S.
Yeah, don't leave me out.
Sorry.
It's
The
okay.
bucket system, or the bucket amount of money for the system is now at the dollar value of $88.6 million. 1.9% of that is $1.6 million.
Thank you.
Okay, but here's the problem with this, so I
It goes
can see myself here. We really want to make sure that we only capture the incremental increase in 13, 14, 14, 15.
I was gonna say, this
Yeah.
can't be the end, because if you add all these up, I thought our revenue increase was like 3 or 4 million, and this is a lot more than
Well,
3 or 4 million.
The 3 or 4 million is Fund 1. This is all funds.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
So,
Sorry.
so that's okay. But
So
my
I'll go
point
back
is
and
we'll just
double
double check. We just want to make sure we only capture the incremental increase from 13, 14, 14, 15. And I know it gets really confusing, but that's what we want to just double check.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next one is the Economic and Workforce Development Fund.
That's new.
It's new. It's 22.9 million. Our portion of that is 435,000. The Student Financial Aid Administration is 67.9 million. Our share is 1.3 million, give or take.
Joe, just backing up to economic workforce development, what kind of activities will that fund
that is, that is, it's going to CTE this year as a placeholder, 50 million, okay? The activity is basically to support small business development centers, internship programs, partnerships between, local districts, local employers, local workforce development boards, WIBs, that kind of thing. But that they just plug the money there. That money is another pot of money destined for non-credit. As the state has gotten religion relative to non-credit, and they now see that it is a big part of the solution strategy for dealing with underprepared people, even just for the workforce. So AB 86, this 50 million, the increase in FTS funding is about really funding that. Because of the AB 86 planning grant thing, they didn't have a place to put the 50 million right now, so they plugged it into this, and they're saying to districts, you can spend it this year any way you want, credit, non-credit. Next year, we just want to say we're going to take that money and shift it to the non-credit. At least that's what that is right now. And the Student Financial Aid Administration, some of these things are brand new. I mean, they just appeared on the radar. I'm not even sure exactly what that means yet.
So the things in green are brand new. And so we, like Bob said, we have no idea what they are, we need to find out. And so as we go towards the adopted budget, we'll have more information, we'll be able to do.
But the critical point, which Danny made and Joe is making too, is that this is Fund 1, right? This is Fund 1 and Fund 03, and anything that's in 03 is restricted to that program.
These are all ones.
So
Yeah.
these are a combination? Which ones are 01 and which ones are
So if
03?
you look at
It'll
the
say
first column,
to the
item
left.
letter,
Yeah, to the left.
and you look under.
Sorry, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Read it.
You're so slow, you didn't say that.
Okay, so the next page, item number 9, which is Fund 3, that's CalWorks. There was an incremental increase there, so our percentage of that incremental increase is $674,000. The conversion and compensation of part-time faculty positions to full-time went down 100,000, and actually it didn't go down, I think somebody just rounded up, but our portion of that is $473,000. Item number 11, student success for basic skills, that increased, so the incremental difference is $380,000. These are new dollars for Fund 1, we believe. We have to look into it a little more. But telecommunications and technology infrastructure, 1.9% of 20 million. Our portion is 87,400.
Sorry, but just going back to that conversion compensation of part-time to faculty positions to full-time. So we're adding 10 new full-timers. This is almost half of the cost that you said was going to go up, and the state's giving you, you said it was about $1 million, and this is almost $500,000. So that would cover almost half of that cost.
That,
We actually need to figure out what that means.
yeah.
This
Okay.
actually just came out in an email a few.
Okay.
So that could
We need
fund
to have to pay
additional
our part-timers
positions?
more.
No, this says conversion of,
See
so,
compensation?
Yeah.
The language changed from May to June.
but it has to do with converting, they're trying to get more full-timers, less part-timers.
That's
doing it.
correct. And
So-
you're
So-
you're right. So we're
Anyway, yeah, sorry. I know we gotta get moving.
I think two things here. One, because of time, instead of going through these one by one, I think it might be good to everybody just take a minute and ask any questions that they might have on what they see. And Joe, if there's something you want to particularly highlight, you can do that, like maybe the deferred maintenance thing, for example. The other thing is, some of these things, this is all becoming so complex that each and one of these things requires management and trying to sort through what does what and how it's actually done. So that's why it takes what it takes to kind of run this place. But Joe, is there anything here that you want to go ahead, Rob?
Just conceivably, though, this could fund maybe an additional 5 positions over what you have in the budget?
I think we need to find out what it actually means before we can answer the question.
All right,
So I'll make a note.
we'll wait.
Look at number 18.
Okay, so item number 19, Joe, you want to talk about that a little bit?
So item number 19, the So back in January, there was a proposal that deferred maintenance would get approximately $100 million and instructional equipment would get approximately $100 million. The Chancellor's Office was asked for a list or a survey of all of the colleges and what their deferred maintenance needs were and what their instructional equipment needs were. They had a list of deferred maintenance. They did not have a list for instructional equipment. So in May, there was a decision made to take away from instructional equipment and put all of the money into deferred maintenance. That didn't sit well with a lot of people. So now the decision has been, until the budget is signed, that the deferred maintenance will have a total of $148 million, which means that the district will get $2.8 million, and there's potential language that says that the districts will have local decision ability on how to use those dollars. So where we reduced in the one-time dollars for the 9.4, the instructional equipment, from 1 million to 500,000, we're proposing a minimum of $500,000 from this to go towards instructional equipment, and then the balance, or whatever that split would be, between deferred maintenance and instructional equipment.
What are our top deferred maintenance priorities at this point?
Infrastructure projects. We're spending money on upgrading heating and air and doing more energy efficient kinds of things. We're trying to deal with a lot of our trip and fall issues we've got down below. We've got the elevator issues that we constantly struggle with. Boiler room, I mean, it's primarily infrastructure. Windows replacing on the west side of the building, desperately need replacement, for years, that kind of thing. Painting, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I mean, there's literally $50 million. There's a $50 million list, but we
And
just,
that's just for us, or for the system?
that's just for us. That's just for these 53 acres of this campus of the deferred. I mean, everything costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
We can deal with. So anyway, that's pretty much it.
Thanks.
So that's what that is. It was separated, it was combined, it was now reduced, and we now have the ability to internally, at least at this point, to determine how much will go towards instructional equipment and how much will go towards deferred maintenance. Okay?
Number 18,
Uh-huh.
the part-time faculty health insurance.
Brand new, I need to look into it.
Looks like a placekeeper amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tiny sum.
Yeah.
So we need to
Now-
figure out what that is.
I also want to point out, on the last page, item number 23, this was something that was brought up once before, and I need to look into it, but I don't believe this is something that the district has the ability to capture. So that 940,000 may not be available to us, but
Most districts, during the economic downturn, it used to be that for monies that you spent over, particularly in your areas of matriculation, that you could apply to the district to get reimbursement, to the state to get reimbursement. That reimbursement fund got so far behind, in other words, people would kept writing invoices, but the state never had money to pay. The state came up with, about 3 years ago, as I recall, a flat rate, which is we'll pay you $28 per FTS, flat rate, leave us alone, go away. We, and I believe the vast majority of the 72 districts, opted to do that. Okay? So we have an outfit called Six Blank and Associates, I forget the name of it, 610 and Associates is what it's called. They're our outside entity that helps us compute this stuff. And so they're still chasing money owed the districts 5, 8, 10 years ago. But for the last 3 years, we have just opted for the $28 per FTS rate. I believe what this is about, this item 23 is a small payment to the state fund to start paying off those people who have IOUs. Those districts have IOUs in this area. I believe that's what this is.
And the $28 per FTES, does that go into 01?
It goes, yeah. It
And is
becomes-
it budgeted, or is it
It's
just?
other revenue that just comes in that then goes throughout the system. It's primarily for student support services, counseling and assessment and all that kind of stuff.
so for the sake of time, I think I'm done. Do you guys have questions or?
Can you explain number 24 for me, please? The
20.
deferrals, one-time cash payment?
Yeah, so this is where we were told we were gonna be getting $11.9 million. So what I plugged in here was what the system-wide dollar amount in deferrals that have not been paid. It's $592 million for the system.
Okay.
1.9% of that is $11.2 million, not 11.9.
And why did we think it was
Okay.
11.9? I just
Yeah.
can't
Because
remember.
there were some bigger numbers floating around on the top end. That 592 was floated as being a higher number
Yeah,
at one point, and it finally settled at that 592, 456.
Okay.
And then it was reduced from 592 to 498 for fiscal year 14-15, and that's how we come up with the 9.4 million.
Okay.
So,
And what did Dan Troy's memo say about it?
Yeah, I don't remember
That
seeing that.
that was attached to this report back in January,
Yeah, I remember.
and it was what is in
Okay.
this black column, January 20th, 2014.
Okay, all right.
and you might recall in some of your readings that the legislature actually wanted to give the system another $246 million this year, and the governor said no. So in order to satisfy the DSPS lobbies, the EOPS lobbies, and the other lobbies that are here, that are reflected throughout, they had to get the money from someplace. They took the money from the deferral. So this number is what, about $1 million, about 94, about 100 million. They basically took the money out of the deferral income to pay rate, and they said, okay, we're going to use that to satisfy all these other people.
But the money from the deferral is one-time money,
That's right.
but it magically became ongoing funding.
At least for fund threes, because remember, fund threes can go up and down depending on what the year is.
Right.
So they don't have any real, mostly wrongly, but rightly or wrongly, they see the 03 categories of student services as essential but not really. So they can do this, they can do up and down on the income, and you guys have to deal with it. And part of the logic behind that is that everybody who's got a Fund 3 position at this college, it's not a permanent position. Now, we've always protected people in that category, but because if you're Fund 3, you're at will on an annual basis. And when we got in a lot of trouble, not we, but when the system got in trouble because of the budget situation over the last several years, many districts just cut those people off. They let them go. We didn't. We found money within Fund 1 to keep everybody going. Part of what Marie did last year, part of what Diane will continue to do is to try to begin to wrestle some of that money back from people like Dr. Lebo and Dr. Semi McBride and Dr. Yamaguchi, who's retiring now. Those types of people who like the fact that the employees are on 01, because that means that some of all this extra money coming in can be used for other things. All legitimate other things, but other things in general. So Joe and Diane, but Joe in particular, has been playing a little bit of an arm wrestle, right? Am I overstating it? Am I understating?
You're understating.
I'm understating, all right. Trying to wrestle some of that 03 money, 01 money back to be supplemented, because Dr. Lebo in that world becomes the recipient of another, almost $4 million. The student success, $100 million, that's money on top, that's new money. And then the student equity plans, which is a whole new category, is new money. Now, as much as we might want to use that money for some of our 01 needs, we can't. But that doesn't mean that we can't maybe wrestle back some of our 01. But that's a battle.
Doesn't
And it's a battle all for the right reasons. I mean, that's what they do over there, but it's still a battle.
03 money sometimes too is a district match too, isn't there? Don't you still have
And
that?
that's right.
And we do have matches. The good thing is, as
So
I
then if we
understand-
don't need it, you don't have to match us, is that correct?
Correct.
That's right. But
So we don't,
We'll always
we don't
do
take.
Well,
the
for a
full-
fee, no, just kidding.
But yeah, to be honest, so look at item number 3, the student success, that $100 million difference. We had last year, so the pot is now 199 million. Last year we had 100 million. We had to do a $3 to every dollar that we got match. This year, for the additional 99 million, we have to do a $2 to every dollar we get match.
Okay.
The good thing there is that the district dollars that are supporting the salaries of those positions are enough of a match for us to get the full amount.
Okay,
So it's already built in. And that's what we have to be careful about when we talk about the positions that are funded with 01 versus 03
03
and how we go
funds,
back
yeah.
and forth.
So, it's a work in progress. I will say that Joe and Tanya, Diane, these folks have been working tirelessly. In fact, I'm not sure Joe's had a full day off in like 2 months, to be honest with you.
This is week 10.
Week 10. So not that he's keeping track, but, it's a lot. And because it's not only because it's incredibly complicated, but because we're putting a new system in place. We've got new staff that we're bringing on board. We're working towards a much, much better place. So just a lot of thanks and praise to Joe for doing what needs to be done. He's going to, exactly. Now, you're going to get me in more trouble than I'm already in.
No, I just,
Okay, all right, but anyway,
it's all good.
putting that aside. So we're now at the end of the meeting. Dan's got one more question?
One more question.
Yeah.
Was it possible to simply talk earlier, or are you working on it at the last minute?
The reason why I'm usually late to this meeting is because I'm trying to find
It's very shifting, but what I wanted to say though is that once we get the tentative budget in, we actually now have the next 6 or so weeks to finalize and tweak things up and learn more about the set. Because we heard Dr. Keogh's loud and clear last time, and we took it to heart, we're going to do less paper. Cindy is posting all of the little things I find in the middle. I too work more than, well, not more than I should, because I choose to, but the point is I work less. So 11 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock, I'll send something to Cindy and say BRAC. And the idea is I think it's something that people would find interesting relative to the budget. Cindy will post all that stuff, has posted all that stuff. The only thing that we will bring to BRAC, because I don't want to get yelled again by Julie.
We just want to save the money for salaries.
That's
all.
exactly right.
Yeah,
And other things.
not really.
Is we're only gonna, not really, right, okay. We're only gonna bring to you what we think really are documents you need to have in your hands to help the discussion. Does that make
Sounds
sense?
good.
So no agenda or minutes?
No agenda, no minutes,
Okay.
it'll all be posted, you guys get them emailed anyway the week before and on the
That's a
council.
good idea.
And when we have stuff that we feel we need to project, if it's projectable, then we'll just use the equipment around it. Other than that, anything else for the good of the order today?
What happened to the nice chairs and table that used to be in here?
What's wrong with
Uh,
This is the same table.
The.
Same table.
This
no,
is the
no,
same
no,
table?
No, the
Yeah.
table
No,
that
it's
used to be
not.
in here,
It's not the same, or they did something to
the
it.
table that used to be in here is in the CDC now, I think? Where did it go? The table went
What
somewhere.
was the hand?
And the chairs weren't nice.
And the chairs were not nice. The chairs were like, those chairs had to be 40 years old. man.
Yes.
Oh, that costs a
They
lot of
were that
money
bad.
and workman's
They were.
comp, those chairs.
Okay, but I will say this, we have a new college conference center. We converted it's beautiful. So if anybody wants to have advisory committee meetings or faculty union meetings or whatever, it's a nice
Can
facility.
you use it for student orientations?
Not sure about that, but we'll talk about that. It's the art gallery,
No, it's
the
not
old
enough
art
for
gallery
students.
in the center
Oh,
area.
good.
It's
I
now a
didn't know.
conference
Yeah,
center.
yeah.
It's got
It's
a
really
beautiful
nice.
outside space, it's got a
Oh, great.
space
I
for
gotta
20
take a look.
people to meet with
What's
technology.
it called? Got a
We
kitchen.
call it the conference center. But it's
Got
the
a
old
kitchen
art
in there?
gallery. And it's got a space for 20 people to meet with all the technology. It's got a smaller room for 8 to 10 people to meet with all the technology. And it's got a nice little kitchen that was there before that we just cleaned up. And then it also has a nice outdoor patio area. It's
Look
really
under the
beautiful.
table.
And then we moved the student art gallery is now going to be in the B building. And then, of course, we have the performing arts building as well. So that's there. All right, anything else? Put a nickel on me and I can't shut up.
I would like to make an appointment to speak with you, though.
There's no question?
I would like to make an appointment to speak with you.
That's fine. All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right.
How has the decision?
Oh,
Danny.